What is up, everybody? This is Eric, the one and only Barrier Collector, and today I am doing a special Halloween game review of a favorite NES game of mine, but a very expensive game to own. Also part of a movie franchise that I really, really like. And that game is A Nightmare on Elm Street for the NES. Yes. This is an authentic copy. This is not a repro cartridge. This is authentic. This game came out back in 1990 and it was made by LJN and Rare. And it's basically, it follows the plot of the they say that it follows the plot. They always mention the A Nightmare of Elm Street. However, I beg to differ. I feel like it follows the plot of the first three Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Basically, you control one of the teenagers who's out to collect Freddy's bones, so you can go ahead defeat Freddy and destroy the bones in the furnace. Now, I believe the original, if correct, please, it's been a really long time since I watched the movies. I know that in part one, that's when they introduced Freddy and him terrorizing the teenagers of Elm Street. In part two, I believe that's the plot of getting the bones and destroying them in the furnace. I don't know if it's part one or part two, but where part three plays a role is in the gameplay of the game. And before I explain that, let's talk about the game itself. It's actually a 2D side scroller platformer, action, beat 'em up, whatever you want to call it. Like I mentioned earlier, you control one of the teenagers, and in the game, you travel along Elm Street to go to different houses to collect the bones in each house. In order so you can collect all of them and take them over to the furnace in the high school and defeat Freddy. Basically, where part three plays a role in this game is the power-ups that you get when you go when you're in the dream world. So basically, this game is unique in where you are awake at night doing what you gotta do, but then eventually you'll fall asleep. You have a sleep meter that kind of builds up like a health meter, and you fall asleep, and then you go into the dream world where things get a little bit more crazier. But in the dream world, you're able to use these power-ups where you can either be the necromancer, the acrobat, or like the ninja warrior. And basically those were the costumes, some of the costumes that the main characters played in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The Dream Warriors. That's probably one of my favorite Freddy movies of the whole series. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and change the subject of talking about the movie, because we're talking about the game. But that's where the third part of the movie falls into place. So basically, this game is probably the first three movies in one meshed together, with mostly heavily on the emphasis of the plots of part one and part two. But yes, it's a platformer. In each level, in each house, you collect the bones, you defeat one of Freddy's forms. In order to progress, get a key so you can open up the next house. Now, this is where the thing was interesting, because I had forgotten this about the game when I did the gameplay. I noticed that you'll see that the houses are open, and some of the houses are open, but you can't enter them. That's because the game generates which house you can enter in random in every gameplay. So you may be able to enter one of the first houses, or you may have to go further down Elm Street and enter one of the houses. But the level mechanics inside of the houses are pretty much the same, whether you choose the first, second, or third house, whatever house it generates. But that's pretty much the gameplay. You collect coffee to keep to wake up from the dream state, or collect the boombox, which wakes you up completely and sends you back. Levels, there's houses. I believe there's a junkyard level, I don't know if it's a cave or a forest level, and of course the high school. So there's different levels in the game, but overall, this is one of my all-time favorite NES games that I really like, even though it's from LJN. They actually say that this is a pretty good movie follow-up, movie-based game. because a lot of the movie-based games aren't that great. So this one is a pretty cool one. Another thing that's interesting is that I wanted to talk about was the game being expensive to own. Believe it or not, back in the days, I used to own an original copy. Again, here we go again. Used to own an original complete copy, and I remember buying it either at KB Toy Store for really cheap. It wasn't an expensive game. Not that common, but still not that rare. But all of a sudden, in the last year or two, this game has gone up way up in value. The average price of this game can net you between $60 to $70 at least. I've seen copies right before I bought this copy. I remember going to that, I forgot the name of the local retro store in Alameda, and they were selling a copy of this game for like about, I want to say about $70. And I was this close of buying it. Excuse me. Very close of buying it. Told my girlfriend, man, I want to go back and get it. Because believe it or not, at the time, a few months back, earlier in the year, it was going at a higher price. And I just said, nah, I'm going to wait up on it. It's a little bit too expensive, right? So then what I ended up doing, I waited, and about a month later, I won this game in a bid. Paid way less than I probably paid about $40, between $35 to $40, which is much less on this game, because look at the condition of the cartridge. So it looks like Freddy scratched it. It looks a little banged up, but overall, it was good. I believe that there was a piece. No, I don't think it was. Inside of the cartridge, the chip was a little loose. Yeah, you guys can hear it. The chip was a little loose because there's tabs. There's inside of the cartridge case, there's tabs, which is also a way that I noticed that it was authentic. I had to open it, and I noticed that one of the tabs was broken, and I crazy glued the tab. And believe it or not, a nice little tip out there: if those little tabs break inside of your NES cartridges, crazy glue bonds the cartridge really good, and it didn't seep in or damage the label or anything like that. So it's pretty good. But all in all, this is a really fun game, being that it's from LJN. But then Rare had their hands on it. So maybe that's what saved the game a little bit and made it a little better. But all in all, one of my favorite games. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. In the gameplay, in the dream state, if you get hit a lot of times, eventually, or you're dreaming too much, the game will start singing the song 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. It'll start singing it, and it sounds really neat. And then eventually you'll be jumped into a battle with Freddy. So basically it's like you would have to like shoo him away in order to continue the game. But yeah, but it's a very tough game. I played the gameplay of the footage with cheats. I just wanted to get a little bit ahead so you guys can see some of the gameplay footage. But deep down, this game is very hard, but very fun. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy the gameplay footage of the game. I will leave you guys with the footage. Hope you guys have a great Halloween. This is kind of like a cliche of the Halloween style games, but this is a game that I really wanted to talk about for a while, and I chose I couldn't think of the perfect time of doing it. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy the gameplay footage of the game. This has been Eric the Bear Collector. You guys take care. Be safe out there. Peace out.